Well, good evening. It was sunny. It is still kinda is. So I thought that I record this outside. I've been I've been absent for a while, in a sense that I have not recorded anything for a while, and the times are turbulent. On the other hand, it's a writing material, all of it. Our lives, Shakespeare and all that. Now, I decided to try my hand at storytelling again because I'm working quite painstakingly on this piece of prose, and it's not going through particularly well. Um, there's also already a translation of a poem, and another one is coming through. So look forward to that. So some content is gonna appear, but this particular piece, this particular short story, is really giving me the headaches. In addition to everything else, like President Trump, God bless his soul. So it's oh, actually quite late. It's already past 5 significantly. So yeah, I have to bitch. It's my style. So yeah, I had to bitch about lighting and all of that. So and now I'd like to bitch about wanting to smoke. But then YouTube will not allow me to promote this video, which I might want to do, although on the other hand, I might get a snippet and promote it through Instagram. I don't know. Perhaps President Trump, God bless his soul, will deal with this sort of nonsense. I mean, think about it. One is absolutely fine. One is allowed to eat unhealthy foods. Um, to drink for that matter, to go completely on meltdown, although I'm not sure what they do with those. I saw a few bloggers doing this. I actually don't know what happened to them after that. But one is not allowed to smoke a cigarette. Why? I mean, like what? Kids will come in and what? First of all, my videos are marked as not for kids, but even if they come, is it like really worse than having cancer from eating steak, say? So fuck that. I'm gonna smoke. Chances of getting Alzheimer's actually are quite lower for smokers. Look it up. So storytelling. Storytelling. I decided to try this one because my last experience, both on stage and recording a previous video, indicated that there's a different um, approach to this. There's writing and there's storytelling. So I haven't even made any notes. I'm just gonna tell a story um, as if it was told to me. And of course, yes, any coincidences are just coincidences, because if you can't have an arranged coincidence, I suppose that wouldn't be a coincidence, would it? And if your partner didn't understand this joke right now, that's a case for serious concern. I tell from experience. So I'm gonna tell you a story about, let's say, a friend of mine called Max, by name of Max, also Ukrainian, Maxim, but going simply by Max. It is so happened that Max recently celebrated a birthday party. Uh, can one say celebrated a birthday party? English is not my native tongue, after all. Let's celebrate it through a party to celebrate his birthday, which incidentally is, well, almost coinciding with mine. It's 30th of April. Um, Living in Berlin and being a outgoing and amicable fella, Max has, over just the course of a couple of years, he's here since the beginning of the tragedy which has befell my country in full in 2022. So he managed to form quite a circle, not only of his fellow Ukrainians from the emigre community, but also because he, incidentally, just like myself, also is pretty apt. Well, okay, I'm lying here. His German is way better than mine, and he speaks Spanish too, which is a really, um, which is something I'm not proud of it, but I'm jealous. So the birthday party was supposed to be quite large in numbers. Talking like, say, 25 at least, perhaps 30 people, maybe even above that. And a venue had to be arranged, but Max didn't want um, to have a standard, rent like a Slavic kind of post-Soviet, rent a restaurant with a huge long table, like one of the kind of Mr. Putin was quite fond of back in the day. I don't know um, if he's still employing those, but yeah. So something like this, and then everybody sits around and like you can't hear what's going on, and I think so. No, he didn't want anything of that. He wanted something creative. He wanted some music. He wanted to be able to jam um, live because some of his friends, quite a few, in fact, are musicians. He wanted for poetry to be read, for conversations to be had, and of course the alcoholic beverages and narcotics being freely consumed. So it had to be a special kind of venue. Various options were tried and it never worked out. So at the end of the day, he tried a few squats. Well, be, the ones he knew because of the concerts or visits there he had prior. And one of them would have worked because of his relationship with an administrator of that place, but the other would probably not work. At least that's what they told him. Although that would have been the perfect venue, having a dance floor where noise could be made, because synthesizers were also part of the game, and and a chill out and a bar area on top. So and he was told that that would never happen, that the squats are not, that we consider too commercial, right? So that like renting a room at the squat to celebrate a birthday, it would like rub people against the grain, as they say. So then certain things happened, and his mood was like not all that festive anyway. So he saw like might no just as well might like keep it simple. And just a couple of days before the 30th, surprisingly, through a connection, a friend of a friend, um, an opportunity presented itself. A location in one of the squats was granted. A permission was granted to host a party there based on certain conditions, which only makes sense. So Max, I'm going here a bit ahead of myself. Max being quite pedantic and experienced fella in matters such as these, even wrote an instruction and distributed it among potential circles or circle of people whom he invited, so that would not be an exclusive party, that there would be no fencing or like locked doors, and that this is a community which is kindly allowing us to make some noise and have some fun. And so if anyone were to want to wander in and hang out with us, that would be totally fine. And that was fine with Max, and also the alcoholic beverages. It's usually a policy of that place not to serve spirits, so spirits were brought externally, but from the side, but also Max asked his guests to be discreet about this. Simple matters such as these. Now, the party was a blast. Probably about 25 people showed up, and as it happened, a few people did wander in, and Max made yet another couple of connections and got to learn a few more people. I told you he's a social kind of guy. But what is more striking is that there was a pair, a girl and a man. Well, one can't possibly call him a boy or a lad or a young man or something. First of all, he's not young, and then secondly, he's like I think over 2 meters tall. It's like Too Tall in We Were Soldiers with Mel Gibson, if you saw that one. So they wandered in by chance, absolutely by chance, and since Max already knew this lady, this girl, they were entirely welcome to stay, and it was a blast. It was a blast. It was going on until probably around 1 a.m. and then started breaking up as these things usually do. So quite unexpectedly, this couple, the too tall fella, whose name is Alex, and his friend companion, and who is actually absolutely and deeply enamored of him. Again, I'm getting ahead of myself here. That Max knew only after spending time with them. So Olga, so they invited him to go to a party, a drum and bass party. He said to me, he made a joke, okay, drum and bass, they still do that? Do they still produce that? Well, apparently they do. And what he told me that techno was nice, but he did have a lot of fun visiting his friends who spent most of the time on a D&B dance floor. Why not? Said a friend of mine, and joined them in. Now, one has to take into consideration that Max had a guitar and a few bags. So one of them was a handful of cables and equipment, and another one with notepads and mostly different kinds of, like at least 3 or 4 bottles of alcohol, which were given to him as a present. Not only it is inconvenient, obviously, to go into a club like that, it is not permissible, so something had to be done. Luckily, the place was not far away from one of the train stations in Berlin, which have the lockers. So the 3 of them went in and stole the unnecessary luggage in there, which was in a story in itself, how they were not able to get the necessary €5 to put into machine in coins. He was saying something like that to me, because apparently the machine would not accept 50 cents as 20, 20, and 10. It would only accept 50, €1, and €2. And it would not accept a card, it would not accept cash a banknote, and there would be no changing machines around. And at a certain point, Max went to McDonald's to deal with this situation. Looking at his hand, he ran head on into the glass because he had missed the door. I think he told me he even thought he had a mild concussion, which he quite possibly could have had, because it would have explained um, in some part what happened next. Now, Alex is a interesting character. So, Max used to be a stoner himself. Smoking weed, but, and I think he told me he did smoke once or twice in a way they smoked throughout this night. And that way was that Alex, having hashish, pretty good one, according to Max, was basically rolling one after another, after another, after another. So it was probably not longer than 15 minutes break in between. So all three of them were constantly smoking weed, hash, and were out of it, drinking beer, having before drunk some spirits, and they made it still to the train station. They resolved the issue with the coins, and they stowed the luggage away, and off they went to the club, and clubbed like that, like mad. All the while smoking weed, of course, and drinking. Now, when the lights came, which was about maybe 6-ish or something, they decided to leave. It so happened that Max had on him a bunch of drugs, amphetamines, of course, for the stimulation, but not only that, but also LSD and 2CB, psychedelic drugs. It looked like it would be a beautiful day in Berlin, sun already giving this hue, not unlike a polo shirt I'm wearing, although I don't know how good the camera of my old iPad really transfers that. It was, well, Rand made, like, this is why I like it, Bittersweet Symphony by Rand. This was exactly the feeling. Every clubber coming back around 6 or 7 in the summer from the club, or a club back home, or not home, with the after party, right, would feel something like this. So it somehow felt to Max fitting to consume some psychedelics, which he offered to share with his friends or companions. Olga refused, so he and Alex, they split the 2CB pill in half and wandered about, having great time. Well, I don't know what was going on through her head, but he told me that it was, well, it is hard when you're on a different levels and you have someone who's not, granted, Olga was out of it completely, but in a different way. And in his view, I do not know her all that well. Um, as a storyteller, I mean, because like I said, everything here is just a story, and the coincidences are coincidences. But he told that she's like very serious and um, doesn't really have all that great sense of humor. Oh, she has a pretty good sense of humor, but being serious is not really helping with the humor. So he himself and Alexey felt, and I think he said that they started vibing almost like telepathically on some level at some point. They were having fun at the expense of the world. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with 2CB. It is a substance synthesized by Shulgin couple, same fellas, husband and wife, who came up with MDMA, and it is usually described as something in between MDMA and LSD. I obviously never tried it myself, but they say it not so intense and like it has this MDMA feel to it. So, but it is psychedelic. So, at the dose they consumed, he said he didn't have any visuals, and perception usually was not distorted and interactions possible. Good thing about it, as opposed to LSD, is that not only it's not so intense, it doesn't last. The effect doesn't last for such a long time. When you get tired and like, but there's nothing you can do. And usually they say it's about three hours or so. You start coming down about 2.5 hours in. So around that point, they decided to split because the couple had some plans of their own, and Max needed to take care of some errands of his own. They were in the vicinity of the train station by that time, having made a very nice walk, and so Max just went in to pick up the luggage, so to say, and be on his way. Surprisingly, he said at this point, he was, maybe that's the effect, it's like a last kick and a last reminder. He started feeling a certain difficulty in communicating. But he didn't expect that he would need it anyway, so. Now, he had a key from the locker in his pocket, and stoned and drunk as he was, he kept it all zipped and never expected any trouble. And then he says, I'm producing the key. It has the number of 118. I put it in, I open up the locker, and not only it's not empty, well, the stuff is not there. What is there is a wrapping from some sort of sandwich. No note on it. Obviously, he's flabbergasted, right? He cannot understand how this could have happened. So, granted, he was pretty out of it at that time, but he could clearly remember the whole situation with like sorting out the coins problems and packing all this stuff in and locking everything up. So his idea was that maybe he just locked some, so he dropped coins into one machine and locked the other, but that would not have been possible unless he would spend twice the coins. The way these machines work, you can't lock them without spending coins, and you can't take the key out also without spending coins and turning it and locking it first. So it didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense to him at all. The only obvious assumption was that it was broken into and his things were taken. So now imagine this. He found himself in a situation when he still coming down from 2CB and like coming down in a way that actually affected his ability to clearly express himself and like really made him look a bit unhinged, and with all the rest of the substances either still active or decomposing in his body, carrying on him quite a bit of narcotics, which he did not want to dispose of, would have to go to police to say that, look, it seems that my stuff was stolen. Now, if that is not a Hunter S. Thompson situation, I don't know what is. He did panic. He did panic. I mean, we don't know if Hunter S. Thompson wouldn't have panicked, because, well, writers are writers. They can write whatever they want. I mean, you read Bukowski, right? Say, women. So this is where he writes, and he's not a young man anymore, but he writes things like that about drinking until 2 or 4 a.m., mixing all possible kind of shit, and then waking up at 12 and, well, yeah, having a hangover, but being quite functional, more or less. He never once, to my knowledge, maybe somebody can in the comments point this out to me, he never once mentioned a situation of post-alcoholic, post-bender anxiety, when one is just simply afraid to step outside for a pack of cigarettes. I find this absolutely unbelievable. So we don't know if Hunter S. Thompson would have just go full on Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas on them in that situation or not, or if it was just the artistic license. He did panic. He said he had to steady his nerves with a drink some water, spruce himself up a bit, and go to the police. see? So now it's dark and it's beginning to rain, but I'm almost over. The story is almost over. So he comes in, talks to the police, explains the situation, describes the content of the locker, all the while like taking an effort to keep it all together. And the camera is overlooking the storage facility straight up. So they take picture of him supposedly for some sort of recognition software and ask him to wait, which he has to do for about 15 minutes. And then he steps outside to get some food, comes back, and then he sees the police beckoning him from the storage area. And they open up compartment 115, and the stuff is there. Everything is there. Now, how did that happen? They could not explain to him. Why a key said 118 and a key was able to open compartment 118, whereas they said that on the camera they see clearly him opening up compartment 115, loading up his stuff, dicking around trying to get some coins, looking it in, finally turning the key, taking it off, putting it in his pocket, and going on his way. So how in the world could this have happened? They had no explanation for this. The despair, the fear, and the relief which was a result of this story, I can only imagine. Now he said, imagine the police would have searched me. I mean, they do have to check the ID. And so having a whale of coke or speed falling out of his pocket, well, if he would be at it, would definitely not help matters, right? Or if they would deem him just bonkers and decide to test him, they probably find half the Mendeleev table in his bloodstream. But well, everything is well which ends well, so he got his stuff back, which included a bottle of Absolute, and getting on a train and out of sight. That was the first he did. He drew a large swig on that bottle of Absolute in front of all those people on the train. Came home and went to bed. And this is the story. I think it's right about time because it is beginning to rain quite heavily. I hope you enjoy this. If you do the same, subscribe, bell, whatever, and I'll talk to you next time. Ciao, ciao.